What was that? So,
Oh my God.
just a little behind the scenes for you if you're tuning in. We said, we're doing the 9 p.m. We're a bit later. Let's do a bit of a sexy song. And Josh gave us that. Josh, what is the type of music you play when you're trying to set the mood? Because that was ridiculous.
I like a bit of farce, a little bit of, running from room to room, kind of like a Scooby-Doo vibe where you're chasing the villain and, they're coming out of different doors. I like it, a bit of fun. It's
Joe, what music do you play when you're trying to set the mood?
Oh, absolutely.
We
I was going
the
sexy. We are the champions. That's a good one. It's fitting as well. What a famous victory that is.
So, in case you don't understand that reference, MacArthur just won 4-3 against Adelaide, and they played "We Are the Champions" straight after the match, which I rate that audacity. I mean, you're not really the champions of anything. They have won the Australia Cup, so they have won at least one trophy. Does that mean that every A-League club except for Perth has won a trophy?
Wellington has not.
Wellington, 9th.
Well, I mean, they've got one hand on the title, don't they?
Top of the table, baby.
That's true. I'm really interested to see how they kind of collapse and finish 9th this season. It's really, really exciting. But guys, let's just quickly talk about the game that we just witnessed. Adelaide 3, MacArthur 4. It was the first time that we've gone straight after a match, and I think because of that, we've obviously had huge success early. We've got over 10 million downloads. Thank you, everyone who has downloaded. We've sold our rights to Amazon, in a 4-year deal. That's fantastic. Some of these statements might sound outrageous to you, and they're not necessarily true, but they sound great. But I think really we have this huge impact on Australian football, and the fact that we had maybe the funnest game of the season, I think, was no coincidence. Josh Parrish.
Yeah. Look, MacArthur home games have been a bit of a stain, a bit of a blight on the league. Could they make it 4-3 every week? And would that justify their place in the A-League? I think probably. I think that'll do it for us.
Yeah.
Because I remember watching the Victory MacArthur game, and my God, that was grim. Like, even though the game itself wasn't that bad, it just seemed like no one really wanted to be there. Like, no one involved in the entire affair. It was a sad, sorry day in rainy Sydney, and tonight, Monday night, maybe that's the secret sauce. Monday night MacArthur. We know down here in Victoria, myself and the other NPL heads love to head down to the Veneto Club to watch the mighty Bulleen Lions strut their stuff on a Monday night. Maybe Monday night is MacArthur's time slot. Maybe it's like Monday Night Football.
MacArthur Mondays.
MacArthur Mondays. I mean, Blake is saying only schedule MacArthur on Mondays.
Yeah.
I kind of like it. Let's be honest. It's not like they're drawing a huge crowd on Saturday night, so when you don't really need to give them the prime time. MacArthur Mondays could be a thing. You got Taco Tuesdays, you got Trivia Wednesdays. MacArthur Mondays could be a thing, and if they keep playing games like that, it'd be amazing. I will say, it was a really kind of interesting game in terms of Adelaide United at 3-2 really looked like they were in control. They took off Iran Kunda because it felt maybe like the game was won, and they maybe went a little bit too early. They somehow got caught on a 2-on-1 situation despite being up 3-2 in the 80th minute on a corner. And I thought Danny De Silva was amazing when he came on. Great to see him back doing things. And then Ulysses Davila to score that goal, right at the end. Just incredible. Just a really, really, really fun game, really fun performance from him. He was doing outside of the boot assist. He's one player, and I want to talk to you guys about this. We're going to talk later about Bruno Forna-worldie and his amazing goal, and he was naturalized and part of the Socceroos. You think Davila ever gets naturalized and comes in to be part of the Socceroos? Who would you like to see be naturalized and be brought into the Socceroos from the A-League? Because already Davila, he's played for MacArthur for 2 seasons. I think you need to qualify like 4 years or something in Australia to get the passport, get the citizenship, be available for selection. But one of the years that he was at Wellington, he was in Wollongong for the whole year because of COVID. So I think maybe he's got an extra year there. So we might be 1 year off Davila for the Socceroos. What do you think, Joe?
Oh, I mean, that would be amazing. Is there a restriction? Like, can we just pinch anyone that we want?
Yes. Yes, I believe. Look, I mean, I haven't looked into the rules, but I believe. I mean, if they want to, like, he's not going to play for Mexico anytime soon. The other one I'm
No,
thinking is, I'm thinking Jay O'Shea. Jay O'Shea's been a great player in the A League for ages. He's never played for Ireland. I would love to see Jay O'Shea. I mean, would I love to see? I guess I just love to see different people. I'm not saying Jay O'Shea is necessarily like playing better than current Socceroos midfielders. And actually, right now, you know, Robertson's scoring, Luongo's scoring, Irvine's scoring for their clubs. We're actually not doing too bad in the midfield department. But who would you like to see?
Well, you know what I would like to say, because sometimes it can be controversial when we pinch a player who's, you know, rightfully not playing for their country, and so we're bringing them on board. But I would like to see us, like say 5 years ago, steal Honda. Just say, hey, Honda, we want you to move from Japan to the Socceroos. Imagine that.
Yeah, but we can't steal Honda. He's already played for Japan. What we need to find is these great players who just haven't played for the national team.
That's right.
Like, you know, like Forna-worldie had never played, I think, for Uruguay senior team. I'm pretty sure he hadn't. Josh, who would you love to see get pinched?
I reckon, has Marcelo wouldn't have a Brazil cap, surely?
No chance. Oh, I mean, he was at Lyon, wasn't he? But no, surely not.
I mean, he's probably too old to get to the age threshold. Realistically, he'd be trundling away by the time he actually got in the Socceroos. This is the problem with these naturalization stories. By the time, like, the momentum will build for this player, like we talked about Isais for ages. Forna-worldie, of course, eventually did get the call up, and we'll talk about him later. But the problem is, by the time that they actually reach eligibility, they've actually passed their footballing peak, and we only get the dirty tail end of their career, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. And maybe Davila next season is not there, but geez, this season he was good. So look, really, really good game. I got to say, I'm hugely disappointed in Adelaide because at 4-3, the only thing that could add to this game, the only thing, and it was pushing towards that, was a goalkeeper equalizer. And at 4-3, Adelaide United got a late corner, and Joe Gauci went up and looked at Carl Viet, and as once famously dubbed by Josh Parrish, the human handbrake, Carl Viet said no. Stay back, Joe. And what's he thinking? Why is he thinking stay back? You're down 4-3. You're not going to win the game. Who cares about goal difference? All right. Get Joe Gauci up there. Let's get a goalkeeping goal. Make it 4-4. Make it one of the greatest games in history. Joe, your thoughts?
Well, it was funny because Joe Gauci clearly wanted to go up. And even when told no, he kind of proceeded a little bit past the halfway line.
Yeah.
So he was in the worst spot you could be. And he's like, I'm just going to stay here just in case you change your mind. But I was fully expecting Adelaide to score then. Like that would just be the perfect way to finish that game. You have to send him up. What have you got to lose?
Josh, don't you feel like every time a team is down by one goal and they get a last-minute corner, they should always send the keeper up? You know, the only thing is if, like, you know, goal difference, you're going to get knocked out if you lose by 2 or something like that. But if you need a goal, why would you not send the keeper up? Like, what do you have to lose? The only thing that the people lose is we, the fans, the supporters, miss out on either a goalkeeper scoring, which is the greatest thing in history, or a full length of the field, you know, goal, counter-attack, which I also love to see. That's why I'm so passionate about it. It's win-win.
I think there's a divide here between the sort of vibes merchants on this podcast and, you know, the miserable bean counters that working behind the scenes at most professional football clubs who will look at this, they'll pour over their spreadsheets and look at the numbers and say, well, actually the keeper doesn't score very often. It's actually very, very unlikely that they'll ever score an equalizing goal. And it's more likely to come back out to the halfway line, and you may as well have the goalkeeper there to recycle possession and put another ball into the penalty area. But that's not the kind of talk we want to hear on MAFFS. How does it feel? And it feels like a goal scoring opportunity every time the goalkeeper goes up because they're so big. Are they good at heading the ball? No, absolutely not.
Although, do you remember the Lazio keeper who scored this year in the Champions League against Atletico Madrid?
That was a lovely header.
Unbelievable header. The run and jump was like, you know, prime Josh Kennedy for the Socceroos. It was unbelievable.
Allison scored a belter as well, although it may have come off his shoulder.
Doesn't matter.
I'm not sure. But
look at all these examples. So those bean
I think
counters
Benevento had a goalkeeper come forward and score against, was it Milan?
Yeah.
Against Gattuso's Milan, I feel like.
Wow, that's going back. Hey, we're getting a few comments coming in. Daniel says via YouTube, and please get the comments coming in. We love having comments. MacArthur, Monday Night Football champions of the world. Yeah, I think it could be. It could be the Club World Cup gets played on a Monday. It could be MacArthur's time. CB says Farlap. I assume he's referencing who we want to naturalize. I like he's not limiting it to, you know, not even this time period, but not even this species. Yeah, which species do you want to see
Well,
naturalized as
the
pubs?
Good
most
attacking.
most appealing recruit probably at the moment would be Oscar Zavada, but the problem is he plays for bloody Wellington, so we're going to have to annex New Zealand first, which is probably a larger problem.
Yeah, and
Farlap's actually a good attacking
Go on.
presence in the box as well late in the game.
Heart of a
That's
lion,
true.
you know.
Send the horse up.
Farlap.
Okay, so all right. You know the famous movie, and we talked about movies like last week, but the famous movie, obviously involving sports and animals, I think is Air Bud, and I think there's a famous line
Right.
in Air Bud where it says, "There's nothing in the rules that says a dog can't play." Right? Famous line. Up there with, Casablanca's. This is the start of a wonderful friendship, or all the classic lines in movie history. There's nothing in the rules that says a dog can't play. Now, there's nothing in the rules, obviously. I mean, I haven't read all of them that says a horse can't play football. Now, I'm not saying, look, a horse isn't really going to be useful to you for 90 minutes, but last minute, you've got a horse on the sideline. Then you say, okay, we're down by a goal. Then you go, okay, let's sub off the goalkeeper. We don't need the goalkeeper anymore because we're already down by 4-3, right? So it doesn't, forget your recycling possession, whatever you were saying before, Josh. Now we get the horse, we put him in the box. Now let's be honest. No defender is going to want to mark the horse. I certainly would be like, I'm not going fucking near that horse. No way. I'm getting out of the box. I don't care if we concede. No way am I getting trampled on by a horse to win a header, like defensively. So then what you need to do at this point is you put the horse in. Now you put your attackers on the edge of the box. The ball comes in. The horse probably just hits its ass or something. But then on the rebound, always looking for the second ball, boom, rebound. Horse gets the assist. You score the goal. 4-4. The celebration can be you mount the horse and you ride it on a lap of honor around the stadium. And then MacArthur, this is where MacArthur did well. Play We Are the Champions. Maybe it's 4-4, doesn't matter. And then play Horses by Daryl Braithwaite. Even better. There's so many options here. So CB, I love the way you're thinking. I thank you for it because I wouldn't have got there on my own. But now you just gave me that little hint of Farlap, and now
You really ran with it as well. I was surprised at the amount of airtime your Farlap scenario just got on this podcast.
Do you think when we watch the tape back, you go, yeah, I don't know if we needed 6 minutes on why horses should be on corners, but I'm just saying there's a lot of possibilities out there. Hey, speaking of possibilities, Blake via YouTube says 41-year-old Joe Lolly, make it happen, Graham. Yeah, could be.
Does Marco Tulio have a Brazil cap?
Surely not.
No, come on.
That's a great shout.
Well, you never know.
How old is Marco Tulio?
He's 25. He's got loads of time.
Heaps of time.
What about Daniel Pena? He spent a couple of years in the country.
Yes, and I love that. Look at what we're doing here. This is an ideas factory. All right, this is just like you turn up for MAFFS. You want Australian football to be fun. You've got horses assisting on corners. We've already gave the Socceroos their future with a bunch of Brazilians who are fantastic. This is amazing. I mean, Graham Arnold, obviously, and who's the Ernie Merrick? Ernie Merrick, I believe, is still the head of football in Australia or something.
Chief disruptor. Yep.
Chief disruptor. What is going to disrupt more than naturalizing Brazilians and getting horses in the box? All right. Look, I'm sure he's listening. I know he is. Take the notes down, Ernie. Claim it as your own idea. We're not going to judge you when you're known as the disruptor because you just copied what MAFFS was saying. It's all good. Look, guys, we're 15 minutes into the show and we've already spoke about horses and movies and all kinds of nonsense. What made Australian football fun for you this week, Josh?
I mean, I'm still on the horses. I'm sorry, I can't move away from the horses because when I went over to my partner's house and she was watching the end of that movie, Ride Like a Girl. The Michelle Payne bio.
Yeah, I mean that was always going to be a tough sell for me. I'm not the biggest horse racing fan, so to watch a 2-hour movie based on horse racing and like I mean, Ride Like a Girl, I mean, who cares?
Like you just spoke for 2 hours about a horse heading a ball.
Yeah, because it was playing football.
I only saw the last 10 minets, but now I'm picturing like Sam Neill standing in front of the TV with his cup of tea, seeing the horse get subbed on for the corner and going, "Go on, go get him!" Spilling the tea everywhere.
In the comments,
sorry,
just one thing here in the comments. I want to know, who do you think is the best fictional animal who could play football? right? So I know that's a bit of a weird, abstract question, but like, like for example, like Stuart Little, I saw the other day, it popped up. Stuart Little 2, he was playing soccer, or football, whatever. But just let that question just populate. Best fictional animal who could play football. Like, could Pumbaa do a job? Timon and Pumbaa up front, big man, small man.
Job.
This is sensational from Toros, by the way. Would they check any goals scored by horses using VAR lap? I'm out. I'm out on the horses now. We brought VAR into the mix.
Yeah, from a guy whose name is literally Bulls.
Yeah.
I think I can see what you're doing there, Toros. I think you're trying to get. MacArthur are called the Bulls. Why don't they put a bull? I mean, that bull could be technically a little dangerous. I think we've got to put a limit. Like, I know I've already gone a bit crazy here, but I do think we need to have limits. You can't put like a tiger on the field, all right? You can't put a lion, something that's going to eat you alive. But a horse is okay. Well, horse is.
I think horses kill a lot more people every year than lions or tigers.
Yeah, but so do, people. We don't ban people. Yeah, put a vending machine up front.
What made football fun? All right, back on topic.
Yes.
I'm actually going to extend outside the bounds of Australian football, but there's an Australian involved. So it was the Hamburg derby involving Jackson Irvine. Irvine scored the opening goal. Very fine finish. But it's not the opening goal that interested me. It was the second goal for St. Pauli. And I want to rewind a couple of days before this big derby to a very kind of floral athletic profile of the Hamburg goalkeeper penned by a great football journalist who I really enjoy the work of. He used to be on, I think he's on TIFO and things. His name's Seb Stafford Bloor, but he had a little bit of a mare. Like, he was very, very unlucky with this one. He's posted this on the 30th, so just a couple of days before the Hamburg derby. Hamburg's Daniel Hoyer Fernandez is a spectacle of a goalkeeper, one of the boldest in possession that I've ever seen. I went to meet him and find out more about his style. Daniel Hoyer Fernandez, the article is titled, Hamburg's goalkeeping playmaker. In quotes, I'm our 11th outfield player. He might be the most watchable goalkeeper in Europe. Those who have seen him know why. For those who have not, the best way to describe him is as two separate players, the goalkeeper and the footballer. And so it goes on, listing all sorts of crazy stats about how he's like literally stepping into the middle third of the field and fulfilling Thiago Motta's 272 dreams.
I was going to say the 272 that we already talked about. Did
and he might be great in midfield.
Redmayne?
Well, he might be great in midfield, but he's sure not that great in his own 6-yard box, because if you saw the goal that he conceded, they took a goal kick short, even though there was pressure coming on the edge of their own box. The defender panicked, turned, and played it back to him on the edge of the 6-yard box. And he actually had to check back and run back towards his own goal because he'd started advancing out to play the team out. He panics. The ball's trickling and bobbling towards the goal line. He takes a mad swing at the ball, slices it on the bobble, and just absolutely roofs it into his own net. Just absolute missile. And it was one of the most bizarre own goals I've ever seen. So there's your playmaker.
Did they give the own goal to the goalkeeper or the footballer? How did they separate that two distinct?
Oh yeah, was it on target?
Yeah, I mean,
well, it certainly was on target. I can tell you that much. But
I mean, yeah, I saw this own goal, and it was one of, like, if you do have a chance, Google it, find it. It is one of the all-time great own goals, and it just. I mean, when you get a big article written about you, it's tempting fate. It's tempting fate. But great goal from Jackson Irvine, I got to say. And Ben Smith in the comments, friend of the show, says Irvine technically a horse with his ponytail. Yeah, not a bad shout. But I think I don't want technicalities, Ben. I don't want to, humans that have hair that is like horses. No. I want a proper horse in the box. We've heard of foxes in the box. A fox in the box? Forget that. Horse in the box. You think a fox would be any good at playing football, Joe? I don't know.
No, I think they're a bit too erratic. I think you want someone with a bit more control. Yeah, a bit too quick for their own feet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I just feel like they don't have the body to like control. Or do anything.
You mentioned before cartoon characters or cartoon animals that you wouldn't want to, that would be good at playing football. Look, this is a technicality because I don't think he's an animal, but I wouldn't want to mark Shrek.
Oh yeah, really good
He's-
point. He's very physical. The
He had
problem
a
as well.
he had a great run at Manchester United before the injuries kind of tailed his career around 30.
Hey, you know what though? But what a superstar! Early days at Everton, scoring that banger against Arsenal.
Remember the name.
You know what? Every time you see a photo of Wayne Rooney now, like it does make you really question the aging process and how brutal it can be. I've never seen a guy who, like, every 2 months looks like he's aged 5 years. Like, he is doing a reverse Benjamin Button, which I guess is just aging in the normal direction, but it's like sped up. Like do you remember? Did you guys ever see The Irishman, the Martin Scorsese kind of gang movie, and how they use special effects to de-age Robert De Niro and make him play his younger self, and then they aged him quite rapidly. I mean, I guess they just stopped putting makeup on him by the end of the movie and just made him look like what he looks like now. That is what Wayne Rooney looks like. Like within 2 hours, he seems to have gone 2 years. It's absolutely incredible. But what a player he was. Joe, what made Australian football fun for you this week?
I had in mind the Irvine goal as well, just only because Jackson Irvine scoring in the snow. I feel like I see every time I'm up at Buller every year, I feel like I see someone looking like Jackson Irvine waiting for the lift at Wombat. So it's just like that's his spiritual home. He's playing in the snow. He's probably got the snowboard over the shoulder. He's got a beer in a hand. It just felt right to me. But since Josh stole that from me, I loved both.
Hey, I wasn't touching the first goal. You can have that one.
That's true. That's true. No, I love both of Victory's goals this week. Forna-worldie, you mentioned him before, Stol, but he's the anti-Rooney. He's getting better with age. He's looking younger every single day. And then Valupalai's goal just after halftime as well was just
amazing.
Two screamers, two absolute bangers of goals. That was really fun.
You know what? So on the Irvine thing, and I did notice as well the snow, and like right here in Europe, it's just gotten that extra bit cold this week. I think half of like Northern Europe is covered in snow. Flights are getting cancelled. You're really starting to feel it, even here in Southern Europe. But watching it did make me kind of think, like, and we saw in the Europa League this week, there was, incredible snow. I think it was in the Helsinki v Aberdeen game, and the game had to be postponed because the fans were throwing snowballs at the keeper, which, like, for all the reasons for a game to be postponed, we'll talk about Sydney FC Perth Glory in a minute, but for all the reasons, I mean, that has got to be one of the funniest reasons to postpone a game. Like, it's hard to be like, oh, guys, stop throwing snowballs at the keeper. Which I kind of think if you turn up to a game and it's snowing and you're there battling the cold, you're allowed to throw snowballs at the players. Like, I know the PFA is going to have a little bit of a problem with that, and they're going to say, it's ruining the spirit of the game. Yeah, but at the same time, it's very, very funny. It's, and by the way, the fans, they're allowed to the players are allowed to throw snowballs back. That's fine. I don't mind that. I don't mind a bit of snowball. Snowball to snowball action, to me, is all fair. But it did make me think, have we ever got out the orange ball, the mythical orange ball for a snow game here in Australia? And it actually made me start looking up. Like, I was looking up Perisher Football Club, Mount Buller Football Club, Mount Kosciuszko Football Club. And I really want to know if anyone out there has ever seen or played a game in the snow in Australia and the orange ball has come out. Joe, you like the snow, like you say. Have you ever seen it, football in the snow in Australia?
I do like the snow. No, I haven't. And I did the same thing as you. As soon as you asked that question, I went online and I'm like looking around. I have never seen it. I feel like Josh is our human catalogue of Australian football. And if an orange ball has been brought out, he's probably got it on that bookshelf behind him.
I have actually had an orange ball used in one of my games. Games that I played in. It wasn't snowing though.
Oh.
So it was at do you guys know the Dandenong Ranges? I'm sure Joe does, being a Melbourne guy, but Stoll, are you familiar with the Dandenong Ranges in the sort of outer east of Melbourne?
Is that a place or a team?
It's a place.
Okay. Rangers.
Not to be not like
New York Rangers.
They're not a Protestant football team. No, they're literal mountains. It gets very cold up there.
Team. Let's get it going.
Not to be confused with Dandenong, which is a very different place, but they're sort of close together, but not the same thing.
Wait. So hold on. So there's Dandenong, and there's what the other one? What's the Rangers?
The Dandenong Ranges. It's the same word for two different places. There's like the mountains, and then there's the town, which is quite a long way away, and it's very different vibe.
I know I'm ruining the story a little bit, but what then now happens if a new football club in Dandenong starts and they want to call themselves the Dandenong Rangers?
I love it.
You know, I mean, we thought the horse in the box was the weirdest thing, but this could also
If only Team 11 had come into the A League, and we would have an answer to that very question. Maybe
Dandenong Rangers.
We'll see. But we had a team in our league. I used to play in a very rinky-dink church league because they had cheaper rego fees. That's why I played in that league. No religious affiliation of mine, but so those governing bodies wouldn't get any of my dollars. Don't tread on me, Football Victoria. I shouldn't say that. I commentate for them now, but
and I'm paid by them. That last remark is stricken from the record. Thank you very
much. Excuse me. So we used to start these games at I reckon 10 in the morning. It felt like 7 in the morning. I'm not sure what it was. It was youth football, and you'd have to drive up and up this mountain to find this team called Sherbrooke Rangers. Actually, they were actually the Rangers, and it was so foggy up there one morning that we didn't have any visibility beyond about 15 meters on the pitch. Yeah. So you literally couldn't see the other goal, let alone you couldn't see the halfway line if you were playing as a goalkeeper.
Wow.
That's how foggy it was.
Was actually at the other end of the field, there was a horse in the goal. You just couldn't see it. It was the first time they tried that. They snuck him on when the fog, and then as soon as the play came down and they switched the horse back out. It was pioneering.
But they actually brought out I think it was a bright orange ball, just so we could have a bit of a chance of actually being able to play. It was total chaos. And at one point, someone missed a shot, but celebrated just so their teammates behind them would be fooled into thinking they'd scored because they couldn't see whether the ball had gone in. It was a total farce. But I have seen the orange ball come out.
That is beautiful. So I did look up. There is a Jindabyne soccer club, and I've seen pictures of where they play. Snow has been on the ground there, so it is possible that we could get a snowy game. So if you hear about, just keep on the eye. I know it's the middle of summer in Australia, so you're kind of going to have to remember this one in 6 months. But if at all the orange ball gets broke, this has to be a historic day. You know, I'm seeing all the time, every day this week, I'm seeing it's 1 year ago since Mitchell Duke scored against Tunisia, or it's 1 year ago since we played Argentina. It's 1 year ago. Forget that. What we need to do is start celebrating things like the orange ball used in an official game, an official snowy football game. That's what I want to see. I mean, that would be incredible. So let us know in the comments if you've seen Orange Game. Let us know about the cartoon animal that could potentially play football. Oscar says Irvine on ice, which is very good. And then he also comments, also currently watching from graduation. Oscar, let us know, what are you actually graduating from? I mean, I presume it's high school or uni or something like that, but maybe you're graduating, I don't know, police academy or horse training. I don't know. I don't know what other graduations are there. Maybe swim graduation. Maybe you're learning to swim, which difficult to listen to us. Yeah, well,
he's getting his pen license, so you can write us some fan mail.
Oscar, let us know. Look, it's a really interesting time. So, the other thing I actually wanted to bring up randomly. Speaking of crazy ideas. So you saw today that Amazon has bought the rights to, I think it's the Cricket World Cup, T20 World Cup, and ICC Champions Trophy or whatever. So kind of think like with Amazon, and this is pure capitalism, baby. Like Jeff Bezos is going to make me CTO straight after this, right? So when cricket, there's obviously a lot of ads. After every over, there's an ad, right? If you put an ad on Amazon, could you just have it so you could just click and buy the item straight away because it'd be linked to your Amazon account already? So, let's
I guess it depends on what it's for. If it's an Isuzu Ute, it might be a little bit more complicated.
One click. No, but imagine you're watching the cricket, over number 4, whatever, goes to an ad break, and they're like, and they can just target you, and they just go, "We know you like this book. Want to buy it? Boom, one click." So you could actually have in-purchase a system really easily, and that make a killing, right? What do you think? Do you like?
We've noticed you've been talking about horses a lot recently. How about this strapping young filly?
I wonder, can you buy a horse on Amazon? That's an incredible thought.
That's a good question.
I don't know if they trade in live goods. I feel like that you got to draw the
No
line.
livestock, I don't think. No.
Yeah, Amazon. That's true. That's true. Hey, Joe,
I liked it. No, Stoll didn't notice, but I liked it.
You're a massive Spurs fan. Tell us, Spurs 3, City 3, and given the injuries, better than Pep. Correct or not correct?
No, he's not. Well, he's not there yet. He's not there yet. But what I would say is, with that team that he put out, with all the injuries, all the suspensions, that team, if you can play like that with a very much second string 11, and play against the champions like that and still come away with a point, City had their chances, of course. But that you win games more often than not if you play football like that. That is championship winning football. And it's we spoke about it last week and the week before. Even if Spurs didn't draw this game, if it came away 3-2, or even if Grealish was allowed to play on and score that goal at the very end that sent Haaland mad, and they won 4-3, no Spurs fan would be unhappy with that result, because the way they are playing with that team is incredible.
Josh, what are your thoughts on the match?
Yeah, I love that the greatest manager maybe of all time, every time he plays Tottenham, he ends up like knees down on the touchline, head in hand.
Losing his mind.
Every time. And it doesn't matter who's coaching Tottenham. This was more spectacular than the usual Tottenham somehow gets a result against City, but they do it every year. Remember Llorente in the Champions League scoring with his hand or whatever. Remember, there's always some refereeing controversy, and it's funny every time. Usually I would be fuming. If that happened to Spurs or really any other team on their behalf, with that non-advantage call where the referee signals advantage and then blows the whistle when the advantage is actually accrued, I would be absolutely fuming, just, out of a sheer love for the game. But for it to happen to City, chef's kiss. I love it. I love it when the rich get their comeuppance. It's so funny. And it's Oscar, a very Spursy thing, that they're able to beat City. They never win anything, but they always beat City somehow. And it's just like the most Spursy thing in the world.
Oscar has confirmed that he is graduating from year 12. So congratulations.
Congratulations.
Well done, Oscar.
Huge.
I'm glad you decided to spend this moment with us. Actually, graduations are boring, to be fair. There's a lot of waiting for other people to do their thing. And then you get your 5 seconds of fame.
Actually,
year 12 is a very, very difficult swimming class to pass as well. So well done.
I cannot remember for the life of me my year 12 graduation. So, Oscar, stay on the straight and narrow, and one day you could be on a podcast talking about why horses need to go in the box.
No, that's because you never graduated, Stoll. You dropped out. You're an entrepreneur. You're of the Bezos mold. You didn't need the traditional path. You dropped out to pursue your business ideas.
Have you seen Jeff Bezos's weird he did like a photo shoot with his wife recently? And did you see that one? It was very it was just odd because Jeff Bezos and his wife.
I don't have him on LinkedIn like you do, Stoll. I don't keep as close to
he just sent me a text. He just WhatsApped me the photos from the shoot. But it was like his wife's like late 40s, early 50s, I don't know. And very like plastic surgery heavy, and then he's there, and then he's like buff now, which is like very odd. And then that is odd. It is confusing, isn't it? And then he's just like he's wearing a cowboy hat, and he's like in a pickup truck, and it's just like this odd thing where you think like billionaires are just very odd people. Like you think, okay, if I ever got that that money, I'd buy a football team, I'd buy the Jets, I'd buy Perth Glory. There's me and Daniel Ricciardo would go halves. It's all good. Just like, what are you trying to do, bro? Like, you're trying to kind of like pretend like you're this working class guy with a pickup truck, and you're trying to be hot at like 55. Like, what are you worrying about? Just odd things. But you know what? If they ever want to come on the show and explain it, I'd be more than happy to accommodate. Ben Smith gives a reference to
it's the Bo Burnham track.
Bo Burnham. That was
what a banger that is.
See,
it's even better.
Can you do it? Do you know the line?
Born in 1964,
Jeffrey Bezos.
Famously easy to do a sing-along over an internet connection. It's even better when that song, when they do the drop, when it changes into Man After Midnight by ABBA. It's just Perfect.
Incredible.
Speaking of billionaires,
Yeah.
I wanted to talk a little bit about Bill Foley of Auckland, who I wasn't on last week to talk about this, but he came out very bold, brandishing the ring.
But what kind of ring is that?
It's a NHL title championship ring from the Vegas Black Knights that he also owns. And he said, he didn't say if, he said when his Auckland side, whatever they end up being called, win the A-League, he's going to give all of the players their own championship rings. And it got me thinking, what is the best gift that a team has ever got for winning something? What is the best reward that's ever come? I'm not talking necessarily about prize money or trophies, but I did a bit of reading and I came across this from the Korean Baseball League. And this was from 2020, so hopefully there were a few fans in the stands to see it. I'm not sure. But the NC Dinos of the Korean Baseball League. I love how the Korean Baseball League has a team called the Dinos. But they are owned by a game development company, like game developers. And apparently they have like a very successful mobile fantasy game in Korea. Swords and knights and things like that. And after that team won their first ever Korean Baseball League title, the owners made them a replica sword from their award-winning game to celebrate with.
Wow. Okay, if you're listening on the podcast, go to 37 minutes into the YouTube stream, and you got to see this photo.
I've actually tweeted this out. If you scroll back through my Twitter feed, you'll be able to find this picture as well.
Why don't you repost it, Josh? Make it a bit easy for the people.
I'll retweet it.
Trying to describe it. I mean, this sword is like, I don't know, what is it, like 1.5 meters long or something? Like it's absolutely massive.
It's massive. It's as big as the guy holding it.
It does look like something like, I don't know, out of like Game of Thrones or I don't know, Lord of the Rings or one of those.
It's a bit more anime than that though. It's very over the top kind of frills. Yeah. Like I don't know if that thing's sharp either, but they're not interested in the trophy. There's a normal trophy. This got erroneously reported that was the Korean Baseball League trophy. I would love for that to be true. Unfortunately, it is not. But it was just a gift from their owners. But they seem far less interested in the trophy than they do in their novelty sword. And they're all like rising up as one. They're like an army.
CB says via YouTube, Kennedy Musonda was awarded 5 crates of eggs for his player of the match performance against Nkunda in the Zambian league, which is great to hear. I remember there was one, I think it was South Africa or something, where they got like phone credit or something, or they got like data, like 100 gigs of data or something. I will say, it's
isn't
really
that
good.
The same thing that Optus gives you when they leak you, they go down or they leak your personal information?
Well, because the point you raised about owners trying to motivate players and the American owner in Auckland trying to give the ring. 2 things I bring up about this. One, it's good to see that he hasn't followed the path of Silvio Berlusconi, who of course famously promised his Monza team a bus full of prostitutes if they got promoted. So, unfortunately, I think he died before he was able to fulfill that. That promise. But anyway, I don't know if it worked or not.
The team was probably relieved, let's be honest. Like, oh, thank God, Silvio, RIP, but we're not looking forward to whatever bus load you turned up with at the end of the season.
You know what? That open top bus parade could have been really, really memorable. And also the other thing I was going to bring up about the rings thing is, so this is one of my big lost to history moments, and I'm sure of it, and I would love someone to back me up. There's 2 things I'm sure of. One is Tando Volpi had the best ever goalkeeping performance ever for Brisbane Roar in the one game he played for them on loan against Melbourne Victory, because I was there and I saw it with my own eyes and it was incredible, and then I never saw him play well ever again. But still to this day, and he's playing in like Japanese 4th division, I still think he's an amazing goalkeeper based on that one performance. Second, when the A-League trophy was decided, it was season 1, right? And there were like 4 designs put out. And honestly, the current toilet seat that we have wasn't really the best design of the 4. But part of the selling point of the trophy was that there was rings. I remember seeing this picture where it was like the player was holding up, like the captain was holding up the toilet seat trophy. And then all the other players behind him were holding up their rings, to be like, yeah, we're the champs. I'm sure it was meant to be initially part of the ceremony, and then probably they just couldn't be bothered buying the rings or couldn't afford it at the time or whatever. And I'm sure it was meant to be officially, they were meant to receive championship rings. And I always feel disappointed that we don't see, like, Michael Theokotos hold up the 5 championship rings on one finger and all this thing. And even the fact that we could, like, call players like ring chasers and stuff when they try and join, like, I don't know, Melbourne City or something to get a ring. Like, I just feel like we missed out on that. Does that ring any bells for you? Have you ever heard that theory before? I am on that.
It sounds very familiar. Yeah, we definitely should have it. I think it's not too late to bring it in. And I think Union Round is coming up. That's what better place to unveil the rings than Unity Round.
Unity Ring. The Unity Ring. I love this. Maybe it just goes to the best player in Unity Round or something. I don't know.
I've looked up the design briefs for the original A-League trophy. Clive Solari of D3 Design says, we wanted our trophy concept to embody the historical significance of sport in a contemporary design, blah, blah, blah. So we looked to history. The winners of the world's original sporting competition, the Olympic Games, were presented with a laurel wreath on their heads. We use this as a model as a basis for a unique cutting-edge design. Our trophy is a modern and versatile translation of the wreath. So apparently,
fancy way to say toilet seat.
But you can't balance it. You need to have a massive noggin to balance the A-League trophy. I've seen people wear it as a necklace, which I do rate.
You know what? If Harry Suter ever comes to the A-League, maybe he can finally do it. Really like this comment from Jess because it actually relates to some kind of football. I think Adelaide United, need some decent defenders in January transfer window. Good shout, Jess. Yeah, possibly. I think you need a decent centre midfielder. Isais looked a bit past it today. But the other thing as well is Iran Kunda. Another. I think we need. I keep saying this. I think we need a good nickname for him. The only one I can think of is the human highlight. But like I saw this week in NBA, there's a French defensive basketball player called Rudy Gobert. Really good, really known for shutting down plays basically. And they called him the Stifle Tower. And I was that is good. That is very, very good. The Stifle Tower.
I remember another option for his nickname was going around at about the time the Stifle Tower took on, or kind of caught on. I remember Zach Lowe advocating for the French rejection, which I quite liked as well.
Yeah, French rejection. Yeah, that is good. That is good. Toros makes the point. He says, Joe, his friend Joe Lynch, might be able to confirm if it still happens, but the man of the match at Carlisle Games was awarded a curry, which they had to pose for in the dressing room after the game. Yeah, I mean, it is. We need to see this more often. Like every A-League team should have a weird man of the match thing that they give to their own player. What would you like to see, Joe?
Well, I was trying to think of who it was, but I remembered while you guys were talking about the sword before, I was sure that someone was given Crash Bandicoot on PS4 for their man of the match performance. And I found it. It's Syed Benrahma playing for Brentford, won man of the match in the Carabao Cup and was given PS4 Crash Bandicoot It's About Time, a magnificent game and an even better prize. Imagine going home with that. What if he's an Xbox guy? Can you swap it?
I mean, look, we have Brentford. That was where we had the famous ashtray trophy, the giant ashtray. That was a MAFFS episode.
I'm trying to think of who the sponsors are who could chip in for these sorts of prizes. Like City have Asahi, so just give a player a slab after a game. I think that would be very funny. But also, they used to be. I don't know if they still are, but they used to be sponsored by Indomie, which is like the brand of instant noodles that does the mee goreng that everybody eats when they're at uni. That one brand that everyone has. And I remember one day when we were in the press box, we sometimes they provide food, sandwiches and things like that, just regular catering, sausage rolls and party pies usually. But they brought round packets of chips. They were almost like prawn crackers. They were like that kind of consistency chips, and they were mee goreng flavored. And I've never been able to find them since in any like grocery store, but they were absolutely unbelievable. And I really want them to bring the mee goreng chips back. So, if man of the match got a packet of mee goreng chips, I think they'd enjoy them.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, look, I was just going to quickly bring it back to football, basically, and I'm just going to run you through a quick couple of questions. So, Asian Cup squad, I think, is announced next week or late next week. And we'll probably talk about that a little bit more in next week's show. But Bruno Forna-worldie scored an amazing goal. You can be as brief as you want about it. Yes or no, do we take him to the Asian Cup? He's currently top goal scorer in the league. Josh, for you.
For me, I think he's almost there. Just needs a couple more weeks of scoring goals. That was one of the best goals I've ever seen. Like A-League or anywhere. That's got to be top 10 A-League goals of all time.
Oh,
that was my snap reaction to it. And I haven't gone through and counted them up. You know, you can think of a few bangers, like obviously the Scorpion kick, the Riley McGree, the Carlos Hernandez goal away to Gold Coast United is always one that gets brought up. That crazy long ranger.
Nick Carl, length of the field, outside of the boot to win it for the Jets. Marcos Flores dribbling through at Hindmarsh. Alex Terra's bicycle kick.
That was a good one.
You know, Engelar from the halfway line for Melbourne City. There's a lot there. Top 10 is a massive, massive, massive call.
The fact that it was a spectacular long-range goal, as far in the top corner as you can possibly go, after he's nutmegged someone and then dribbled past two more players to create space for the shot. They don't get that much better than that.
And it was so Rabona goal this year. He did a Rabona goal.
I think that goal was a higher level of technical difficulty, the whole combined move, than the Rabona finish. Like, I can do a Rabona. I can't do it consistently, but I could. If you gave me enough tries, I could do that. But if you put me in a match and ask me to nutmeg someone, muscle out an opponent, spin them, dribble past one more, and then leaning back on an angle, put the ball as far away where the Spiders live, even with Danny Vukovic pretty well positioned, basically lob him gently into the top corner. I could not do that in a million years.
You know what? Go on, Joe. Sorry.
It was a style of the shot as well, because he didn't bash it. He didn't really. They kept saying he's placed it into the top corner, which he kind of did, but it was a half dink. It wasn't a full dink, and it wasn't I'm just gonna like gently caress it to the side. It was a kind of mixture. I don't know how to describe that shot, honestly. It was so unusual, and you could see him thinking. You're right, Josh. It was the accumulative. The hold up play, the nutmeg, the moves. It's like in Tony Hawk when you do one grind and then you do an ollie and then you do a kiss the rail and you do something else, you earn more points. And by the end of it, his points were clicking into overtime. The Rabona is a great move, but you're only going to get 1,000 points of one move from that.
I like the idea of talking about great goals, great forgotten goals. I don't know if you saw this week, there was someone put up on Twitter that Christian Benteke's bicycle kick at Old Trafford for Liverpool is one of the great forgotten goals that people just
because it was in a losing game. I don't think it was
exactly.
They lost 4-1 or something. Okay.
And it was one of his only goals, and it kind of he wasn't like a legendary player. And yeah, exactly right. Like another one that I think is one of the best goals like I've seen in the moment was when Neymar scored against Croatia in the World Cup this year. But a year ago. They got knocked out in penalties straight afterwards, so it kind of got forgotten about. But it was such an amazing goal in such a moment, in extra time for his country. But it does get forgotten about. So A-League forgotten goals. Let us know, because we do remember kind of the, like we were saying before, the Nick Carl, the Carlos Hernandez, these type of goals. But just the most amazing goals that you've seen that are just never get talked about. Josh, do you have one? Top of your head?
I do, and this was courtesy of someone who replied to me on Twitter. So
shout out.
It was a similarity between this goal and Bruno's goal was Malik Buhari from the New Zealand Knights, the now defunct New Zealand Knights. He scored 2 A-League goals. I don't know what the other one was. This one is an absolute banger. If you look it up, he absolutely smashes it into the top corner. It's not the same kind of trajectory or finish as Bruno's, but it's from a similar distance and a similar angle. And it's an absolute thunder bastard. So that was a forgotten A-League goal for me. That was a name I had not heard in some years.
Man, crazy stuff. Hey, so other Socceroos potentially on the plane to Qatar. Massimo Luongo scored for Ipswich this week. Is he a yes or a no for you, Joe?
Hey, that's a tough one. I think yes. I don't think he makes the 11 if we're playing next week. No. But he has shown his form. He's been key for Ipswich this year.
Yeah. I mean, and they're doing really well.
They're doing really well. They're looking at promotion. I think he offers something different. And going back to Forna-worldie, he offers something different to the other, to Mitch Duke or McLaren as well. Is a different type of striker.
Spanish,
so I think
you know.
speak Spanish. That's right. So I think you want that versatility off the bench, and that's what Luongo brings to the midfield. So yes, I'm bringing him. What about you, Nick?
Okay. I would bring him just because I think it's funny to see him give a victory speech in Qatar where he says, fuck off, like he did when Melbourne City won the Australia Cup. Josh, Luongo, si or no?
As long as he's not on penalties, I'll take him.
Ooh, all right. I like it.
I'll take him.
Hey,
I like it. Look, well, think of our other striking options that we've got. Just like to make a serious football point for a second. Like Mitch Duke, Jamie McLaren. I feel like we know what these guys can and can't do for the Socceroos. I don't think we know what Bruno Forna-worldie could do. And McLaren's kind of been struggling recently, you know, by his standards, at least in the A-League. He hasn't really played that well this season. He's missed a couple of penalties and big chances and things. He's not really on form. And yes, he did smash some goals past Bangladesh from a combined distance of about 5 meters. But I don't know. I think Bruno could be the lightning rod that we need in a tournament like the Asian Cup, where he offers something a little bit different with his link-up play and a little bit of flair. I don't know if I'm just saying flair because he's South American, but he does have a bit of flair. And I think
look, the goal that he scored against the Mariners, and the Rabona goal that he scored, McLaren is never scoring that. Mitch Duke is,
and neither is Mitch Duke. No. Neither is Cassini Yengi, if we're honest.
Totally. And look, Mitch Duke obviously was great at the World Cup and has his purpose, but there is a difference in Forna-worldie's game that he brings. I believe the original question was about Luongo, but
yes,
it doesn't matter. Here's another one for you. Robertson scored for first goal for Portsmouth this week. Look, I'm not following Portsmouth every week. I'm not really watching them too closely, let's be honest. But apparently Robertson is tearing it up. Is he in your Asian Cup squad? Yes or no, Joe?
I think he assisted as well the next game. Is that right? Did he had a goal and an assist in a week?
I think he's killing it. That's all reports are that he's killing it. And maybe that's because I follow his dad on Twitter and his dad posts every single time that anyone praises him. But look, it works. It's good PR. Well done from the dad. Great support. And
very sophisticated scouting mechanism you've got going there, Stollers. Look at what the players' parents are saying about them.
To be fair, it's not him saying
mine's not that much more
praise.
Well, there is a lot of praise coming in on Twitter for Robertson amongst the Portsmouth fans, and usually the English, especially lower division English football supporters, will not be shy about their opinions on a new player, especially, and they'll be like, ship him out if they're not performing, and he is performing. And also he likes a bit of a scrap, Robertson. That's one of the things I like about him. He's kind of in that Cammy Devlin scrappy do mold, but he can also play a bit, probably a bit more than Devlin can. So he's up there for me, but the center of midfield is probably the most competitive area of the team. I probably would have Robertson ahead of Bacchus, but we know Graham Hunter really loves Bacchus, and he did play pretty well in the World Cup. So, it depends on the opponent. It's sort of horses for courses with the Socceroos midfield. Bacchus is going to be great in a game where you need to dig in, but he's pretty limited in possession, and it doesn't give you a lot of options playing out, especially when he's in the double pivot with Irvine. I think we're going to run into some trouble there. So, I think Robertson is probably more of a versatile performer in midfield, as is Luongo.
You know what? It is interesting because there are a lot of selection headaches, and it's good. I think we've got a lot of players kind of in form, and it's going to be an interesting squad to see what Arnie does and how he fits in the horse into the 23-man squad is really the big question next week. I'm really looking forward to that one. Just final question: Iran Kunda, yes or no? Asian Cup squad,
absolutely.
Bring something different. Joe, 100%.
100% has to be.
Josh.
I think yes. I mean, what player can do what he does? I mean, Matthew Leckie's been injured, and even then, he's not as explosive as Iran Kunda is. I think he should be there, and I would have him ahead of the likes of Garan Qual and Mo Toure, even in the pecking order. I know they're sort of all competing for that same kind of super sub position, but I just think Iran Kunda is too good. He's playing too well. He's too productive every week. How can you not take him?
I'd have him ahead of Mabil. Like I think Iran Kunda talent is one of the best players that we have.
And it
So-
doesn't mean you have to. It doesn't mean you have to start him. You have to throw him in the deep end. But if it's 80 minutes in, like you need those legs, and even for free kick ability, I mean that translates to national football as well. I mean, you have to. I don't see the reason to hold him back. I think it's time.
I feel like we're having the same conversation before the World Cup with Qual. Does Garen Qual go or not? And I feel like Aaron Kunja's the guy in form. Qual's got a couple of goals for whatever Dutch team he's playing for that I can't pronounce the name of. But he hasn't really been performing consistently. And I think like the top teams in the Netherlands obviously are much better than the A-League, but lower tier Netherlands football, is it that much better than the A-League? I don't know. Not that much better.
Yeah, but you got to remember he's Qual 19 now, and this is
he's got plenty of time. I'm just saying who's in form right now going into a January Asian Cup. I think Aaron Kunja's the guy. There is an element of like, let's not make it too much too soon with Aaron Kunda. I think there's been, reading between the lines, there's been a little bit of an assessment of like his personality and, you know, the pressure that's been put on him, the intention, Bayern Munich, all this stuff, you know, the red card that he got for dissent and everything. And Graham Arnold was very reticent to kind of give him like a lot of praise when he was asked about in the press conference when he was down here in Melbourne. And he was keen to emphasize the work and, you know, staying humble and all that stuff. I disagree. I think he's ready to go now, to be honest. Let's throw him in there. I don't care. You know, I want him to be confident. If he's arrogant, so be it. It's that good kind of arrogance, as all those ex-players on, you know, British podcasts talk about. It's a little healthy arrogance.
Well, I mean, I know that is a massive cliche, but I do kind of think that as well. Like, we have too often not had wingers who had the confidence, let's say the arrogance, to constantly take on their opponent, to constantly
100%.
terrorize a fullback. And Arzani has that, and we actually saw it in 2018. He did have that kind of ability to do it, and it adds to something. You know who had it? Harry Kewell. Harry Kewell was an absolute master at it and was maybe our best player, one of our best players for 10 years. So I think I'd like to see it, but it'd be interesting to see. Look, before we go, I think we should just run through a couple of things really, really quick. And if you have anything to say about it, say it. But if you don't, no worries. We can just keep moving on. Great to see Shay Cahill, son of Tim Cahill, make his debut for Brisbane Roar. I mean, and he almost scored off a set piece. I was having flashbacks. Cahill coming in at the far post. It was just a good time. Josh?
Yeah, it was great to see him make his debut. I don't want to be cynical and I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist. Tim Cahill was in the country this week to accept his Australian Sports Hall of Fame or whatever induction. Thankfully, I was informed of that via my work inbox by a media release from the Greyhounds as Pets Association, which Cahill is apparently an ambassador for. So thanking them for letting me know. But did Brisbane Roar time Shay Cahill's debut to coincide with Tim Cahill being in the country for it?
Maybe, but you know what? Good job.
It worked. Yeah.
I quite like Brisbane Roar this year. They're playing some good stuff. That second goal that they scored was just real nice. Yeah. You know, I think there's something. It's, you know, the A-League's so hard to pick this year. Like, it's any team can beat anyone. There's 3 teams that are undefeated, and I'm still not sure if any of them are going to necessarily win the comp. You got Wanderers, Wellington, Victory. I mean, obviously Wellington will finish 9th. But, you know, apart from that, there's only so many.
What a hater.
You know, people should just know. I actually just thought the whole Wellington finish 9th thing came from Philip Rollo coming on and saying that he goes, what happens every single time there's preseason A-League predictions is that everyone in Australia just by default puts Wellington 9th. And I laughed so hard at that because I thought that's exactly what they do. I've seen a million A-League predictions over the years. Wellington is always 9th. And then actually I found it funny that maybe they might finish 9th that exact season. So I'm still kind of holding out for Wellington to finish 9th, but it's all based on the fact that people's predictions. I don't know where to put them, but now I always put them 9th. So that's where that comes from.
Are we going to talk about the 2-hour lightning delay? We haven't even got to the Sydney-Perth game.
All right. Well,
and where they were interviewing the Texan.
Let's not talk about it for 2 hours, but I'll just say this. I thought they did a spectacular job because it's not easy to fill television. Like, you know, we've all worked in television. We all worked in the media. It is tough. And I love Daniel Garb doing the weather report. I think he should be the new Tim Bailey. I love the random finger that was coming into shot to make sure that his phone wasn't auto timing out to lock, which, look, for sure, I would have done the same thing. I love the interview with a Texan fan, especially when the Texan fan said that his favorite player was Max Burgess. I was 100% on that. I love the vision of the young fan hitting her, dad, in the head with a flag. The Cove singing all night. I mean, I think there should be more rain delays. I thought this was a spectacular moment for the A-League. What did you guys make of it?
It was a lightning delay, not a rain delay.
Sorry,
You've been watching too much of Amazon's cricket coverage, so. No, I thought it was sensational. I love when commentators are put in and broadcasters are put in a position where they have to just fill time. And one example of this, which, just inane chatter that happens on a broadcast, I felt like this morning's City Tottenham game was not the kind of venue for inane filling of time. But still, from BBC's 5 Live radio coverage, we got this from Dion Dublin and his play-by-play man.
Dion, if when you're under Holmes under the hammer, if you walked into a bedroom that had the colour shirts that Tottenham, how would you describe the shirts of that Tottenham third strip?
I would go with sort of a light mushroom.
Mushroom.
Yes.
Yeah.
Happy with that?
Mushroom brown.
Hey?
Didn't
Oh my God.
Great.
The earnestness with which he really thought, I'd go a light mushroom. Yeah.
You know what? It's pretty accurate.
It's absolutely bang on. Credit to Dion Dublin.
I mean, it is weird that he's become a lifestyle presenter. Hey, speaking of the lightning delay that we had, Ben Smith says time I was meant to finish work was 6:45. I guess he was covering this online in Perth. I was covering it for, I think, WA today.
Oh, Ben, you've got 3 hours on the rest of us. Don't whine about this. Come on.
Listen to the story. Meant to finish work at 6:45. Actually finished work at 8:25. Got to the pub at 8:57. Party bus left at 9 p.m. It was meant to be, Ben. It was meant to be. That's an amazing ending. Speaking of amazing endings, I think this show needs to come to an end. But look, it's been an absolute pleasure, guys. Is there any last things that you want to say? Any movies you want to talk about? Any animals you want to talk about? Anything?
Well, when we were talking about animals in the box before, and he's not an animal, but Shrek was 23 when in the first movie. Would have thought he was older. Yeah.
Yeah. How have you come up with that? I didn't realize ogres had ages, kind of thing.
Well, I really wanted to define what an ogre was.
Yeah.
So I had a look, and that was the first thing. Shrek was 23.
All right.
So I'll just leave you to think about that.
23 had his own swamp. That's kind of that's something that news.com.au would write an article about and say this 23-year-old entrepreneur has managed to buy his own swamp.
And he would have had a loan from his parents.
Mama Shrek and Papa Shrek gave him 1.5 million clean for that type of land, organic as well. I mean,
are we saying he was a Nepo ogre?
Yeah,
I think so. I mean, no wonder Princess Fiona wanted a part of it. Like she knew that there was a cash cow there.
She turned down a human for an ogre.
Yeah,
she wanted to be on that onion empire.
Josh, Joe, it's been an absolute pleasure. Everyone in the comments, thank you so much. Congratulations, Oscar, on graduating year 12.
Well done, Oscar.
I hope it's done well. Please let us know whenever you're watching the show where you're tuning in from. Please answer all the random questions that we've given you this week. There's a lot of homework with this show. Forgotten A-League goals. We didn't even get to talk about statues this week. There was heaps of statue stuff last week. We loved it. I think one of my favorite suggestions was Costa Barbarousis gets a statue for when he was held up to tape up the goals. That has to be a statue. The other one I'd love to see is the Kerem Bullet offside statue. Him kind of looking around shocked, and then maybe there needs to be a statue for the fourth official. Fourth official, the linesman, and that famous disappointing flag that goes down. It's incredible. But thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. It's been an absolute pleasure. Josh, Joe, I'll see you next week. And everyone else will be
mystery music again, shall we?
Oh, yeah, I mean that was good. We'll see you back at 8 p.m. Next week, Australian Eastern Daylight Saving Time.